The Red Plague is one of the largest mods for Subnautica, and possibly the most ambitious one. It adds new creatures, new mechanics, new characters, new crafting, and a story that progresses in parallel to the base game story. Having just completed a playthrough of the mod myself, well, at least Acts 1 and 2 since Act 3 isn't out yet, I wanted to go through and summarize what I liked and disliked about it to give feedback to the community. I hope that you find some entertainment in this video, but if you're impatient and want to skip to the verdict, you can find it at 28:53. Obviously, this review will have major spoilers, but I will leave the final score spoiler-free, so if you want to check that out, you can just skip there. Though this mod only has 2 acts, I find it best to categorize this into 3 beginning, middle, and end sections, since I don't really know where Act 1 ends and Act 2 begins. The beginning of the mod starts off very similar to what you're used to. The Aurora is shot, and your life pod crashes into the ocean, landing in the safe shallows. If you look up immediately though, you will spot a skeleton thing looking at you from the hatch above. If you go to interact with it, it will jump scare you, which sets the tone for what you can expect for the entire mod. After exiting your pod, you're likely going to see these bones in the distance, which will lure you over to this platform and show you that there's a special new tablet that you need to acquire before you can interact with some of the new stuff. Right off the bat, I think this is a fantastic way to get experienced Subnautica players hooked. Most of us by this time understand that you need to use the horizon to see your overall map location since there is no in-game map. This is also great for new players as they will want to see what this thing is sticking out of the water. I loved this, and I feel like more additions like this would be awesome for this mod. After the initial shock of the game wears off, you will begin to explore for your materials up until you get the ability to repair the radio. During your exploration, you will find new infected creatures, though they don't really have much for you to do. All you can really do is scan them if the mod allows you to, and that's the first pain point that I have. There are a lot of cool things that you can scan, but there are quite a few that you can't, and it does detract from the experience a little bit when you see a new creature or a new substance and you can't scan and get information on it. Sometimes that additional information can lead players to try new things or investigate other resources they may not have really interacted with. In my case, this was amalgamated bone. I saw it, but couldn't scan it, and never thought to hit it with the survival knife until I saw a crafting recipe for it. A scan of this could have said something like, a fragment of this bone can potentially be used for further applications. Altera will want to study this. And that would have been enough for me to try to get the resource a little bit harder instead of just swimming away after not being able to scan it. While exploring, you will hear occasional noises in the distance that sound off. Sometimes it's knocking or whispering. Other times it can be creature sounds that don't really fit the area you're in. These are really cool, but you will soon get tired of them since they play very frequently. In some cases, even a few times a minute. I like the crazy sounds and the unexpected that this mod adds, but when you use the same 12 sounds and you hear them 30 times an hour, you're gonna get tired of them pretty quick. Personally, I would turn down the amount of times the player hallucinates just to make these a little bit more impactful. Once you have the radio, you should receive a new transmission from the mod's story, your Altera HR rep, Angelina, which, by the way, has some great voice acting and somehow feels pretty natural to the game's main story as well.
We're receiving this message because you've been promoted from non-essential system maintenance to be our private investigator. I'm sending in a contract with all your new terms.
Reading contract terms. Skipping contract body. Contract terms signed.
Thank you.
This is where you will get your first major task, making a biochemical protection module, which is the game's first custom crafted piece of gear. Custom gear and new tools is always appreciated with any mod, and this stuff doesn't disappoint. This gear in the game is really cool, and this particular module essentially adds a sanity meter for you to keep track of in addition to your other stats. I love the sanity meter. I think it not only fits perfectly with the plague, as the infection is supposed to give you hallucinations, but also fits really well with Subnautica's base game lore. For example, after building the moon pool, the PDA telling you that you may experience psychological discomfort due to isolation.
It is normal to experience psychological discomfort. Research indicates symptoms may be partly alleviated by adopting a pet or anthropomorphizing an inanimate object.
Speaking of things that fit the base game very well, the new PDA dialogue is perfect. It screams Altera in every way, while simultaneously making you feel uncomfortable.
Violence is usually not the answer, but when the most reliable way to obtain these bones is from corpses, Altera does permit it.
This gets the highest marks for me because the PDA is one of the best components of the game with its amazing voice lines. And having more of these lines is only a positive experience. I thoroughly enjoyed all of the added PDA lines and am looking forward to more in the later acts. After crafting the suit, you will be tasked with making the DNA tester tool, which you must find given some vague directions. For this, they only tell you that it crashed near the Aurora and that you will have to find it manually. I'm probably outing myself right now, but this was way harder for me than I think it should have been. Maybe it's just a skill issue, but I couldn't find this thing for hours. And as it turns out, the components are located in very few locations right next to the Aurora in the crash zone. Don't worry, it's in the safe part. I personally feel that this could have been a little more specific than it was. Near the Aurora is a very wide search area. Could it be the safe shallows? Could it be the grassy plateaus? Or kelp forests? What about the bulb zone? All of these locations are near the Aurora, and I also have no idea what it is that I'm looking for either. Is it a data chip capsule? Fragments? Should I be looking for landmarks? I just really felt lost here. The only feedback that I can give with this is to maybe make the area a little more noticeable. Life pods or bases, for example, are very obvious when you see them. If there was a hunk of Aurora that just said research lab or something, I think that would have been great. If not that, maybe an approximate location and description being added to your PDA like they do with LifePod 6. Struggling to find this component, I decided to get a base set up and explore the islands, because I needed a stable food source anyway since the fish were all infected. I discovered some audio logs added by the mod, like Derman's log on the floating island. I don't like Derman. I mean this in the nicest way possible, but I don't think Derman's contributions to the mod are done well. The voice acting is not great. And the first interaction I got from him was something from Five Nights at Freddy's, I guess. I didn't ever play FNAF, so this completely flew over my head, and it felt really out of place for the game.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called.
It makes me wonder why they went this direction with the character. They have stellar voice acting in other areas of the game, but some of these PDA recordings are just not good. Casting Derman this way as a first impression really makes me not take him seriously, and each time I hear from him, and yes, you hear from him later, I drown out a lot of what he has to say because I have a negative association with him already. Speaking of bad impressions, there are other dialogues, although not many, which swear. I'm not a prude, I swear and enjoy swearing sometimes, but swearing does not fit Subnautica. Not once in either of the two games does a single character swear. None of the PDAs or other recordings you find do either. The swearing was immersion breaking for me, and further to the point, as a content creator, it's something that I feel the need to censor out in my recordings lest I be smited by the Big Red. Now, while the rules at the moment are pretty generous, in an effort to continue to have the video monetized in the future, I personally censor out as much as I can. At any time, these rules can change, and it's just better to be safe as a small content creator. I hope that some of these voice logs can be redone and these elements removed in a future update. Another issue I had in the beginning was the pacing. It feels a little off. It fast tracks a lot of things. For one, the sunbeam will not come and get you. You don't even have the ability to change this. The sunbeam just will tell you that there's a large debris field and they cannot land. The same dialogue for if you cure the planet before they show up in the base game. It's not just the sunbeam either. You also get the blueprints for the Neptune rocket really early on, which you would normally only get having been to the quarantine enforcement platform and waiting a few days, or the disease research facility in the Lost River.
Come all the way back up here.
The code should be 2679. The regular's just a ham and cheese.
Okay, would you just say ham and cheese?
Ham and cheese.
Okay.
How the mod wants you to progress is getting that DNA tester tool I mentioned earlier and progressing that quest line. You also should be going to some of the bases that you'll find, such as Research Base Dante, because you cannot fix the Aurora until you do these things. You need a special knife, the Plague Knife, in order to fix the drive core. The Plague Knife has two main requirements. One, you need to discover the knife by sending Altera an amalgamated bone sample through the shuttle system, which you unlock when you get the DNA tester tool and extract some infected blood. The other is the Administrator Fabricator. The Administrator Fabricator, from my experience, can only be found in two areas. The best way to naturally find this is to go to Research Base Dante, which is prompted from a base in the Grassy Plateau. Then, once you go to Dante, you are prompted to go to Research Base Chain, located in Sea Treader's Path, which has the Fabricator. The issue with this is that Dante is located in the mountains, which, as we all probably know by now, is Reaper Leviathan territory. And that means you are likely not going to explore this area without upgrades to your Seamoth or Prawn Suit, which is gonna lead you towards the Aurora before you are meant to go there. Confused? Yeah, I am a little bit too. Once all of that is done, your journey will eventually take you over to the Aurora, where you'll find some cool new things added, like the Regular, a callback to the message that gives you the Neptune rocket codes. You'll work your way over to the drive core room and discover that there's something in the water that will attack you, as well as not being able to repair the drive core unless you somehow have the tools that I mentioned earlier. There's also some new music added to this room, which I really like. Since this is kind of a mini puzzle and you have to solve this in order to progress, I kind of like the fact that there's unique music. I'm also a sucker for video game music and always turn my game volume up, especially when playing alone and not having to worry about my audio levels. The soundtracks for the Red Plague are really good, honestly. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to these in every new area I discovered. Oftentimes I would find myself sitting there listening to the music more than actually playing the game. There are more soundtracks than there is time for this video, but if you liked anything that you've listened to so far, you can find that in-game. Moving on, eventually you'll be tasked with building a giant dome over the crater, the playable map area, which is pretty famous for this mod apparently. I didn't know about that, but I thought this was a really awesome addition, though it did take me a lot longer to get to this point than I thought it would. I had found the area for the red infection tablet a lot earlier than I was able to make it, because in order to make it, you have to have that admin fabricator I talked about earlier. It's at this point when I would consider you being done with the early game and moving on to the mid-game. And yes, I have been talking for a while, so that must mean the mid-game is just as interesting, right? Well, no. Of all points during this playthrough, this is when the mod just started being annoying. All annoyances you've experienced so far, cranked up to 10. By this time, you're probably used to the strange sounds, the whispering, the flickering lights, all of it. And they will always happen. No matter what you do, no matter how far you progress, the game will always make these sounds. This is something that I really dislike, because often my sanity meter is in the greenish yellow, which means that you are healthy. Rarely do I drop below 50% where it turns pink. Yet, it feels like no matter what sanity I am, the sounds just keep happening. During my playthrough, I would be talking and be interrupted multiple times. It's excessive. At this point in the game, you are tasked with 4 main objectives which take you to slightly different areas of the map. One takes you to the Lost River, one has you investigate resources that you can collect, one you've already completed, probably, by getting the grapple component on the Aurora, and then the final one, I despise the way this is given to you. You see, The final task has you find Research Team 4. You don't have any leads on this, but you will start hearing some strange sounds. A "follow me" and a whining noise. These noises, like the hallucinations, happen all the time if you don't complete them. All you're told is that an unknown creature is nearby and you should follow it. As it would turn out, the creature that you need to follow is this small-looking turtle thing, not the screaming, annoying plague cats that will now forever haunt your game, even after this objective is complete. The reason why I hate this so much is because of the lack of information or guidance. I followed the plague cats first, and they take you to the void. Now, I'm not against tricking the player into following something, I think that's kind of fun. But what annoyed me about this was I never got an indication of if this is what I was supposed to be doing at all. All I knew about this mod was that it added new biomes and story. Maybe the new biomes are in the void. After all, the dome that surrounds the crater goes out quite far into the void. That indicates to me that this is a playable area and I should be exploring, and if something's guiding me out there, I would hope that there is something out there. I followed the plague cats into the void not once, not twice, but 5 times during my playthrough. Not once was there an indication of if this was correct or not, other than being swarmed by ghost leviathans. The plague cat didn't change. It didn't do anything different. No one decided to call me on my PDA and tell me I shouldn't be out there. No PDA pop-ups. Not even scanning the plague cat tells you that they will attempt to trick you. If you somehow manage to see the turtle thing and follow it, you will be taken to the next objective, the research base, and you will find the final components you need to make plague gear. This takes me to my next pain point with this part of the mod. Each one of these objectives feels truly useless. As someone who likes to replay games instead of playing new ones a lot of times, I look out for replay value in a game or mod. These 4 objectives have no replay value. Each one you unlock has no benefit to you because there is only one that actually matters, following the turtle. If you do any of the other objectives, you'll find the cool items, but you can't use them. There is such a missed opportunity here where you can reward the player and allow them to tackle each of those objectives in a different order, which would allow them to solve the other puzzles more efficiently or with less risk. The item you find at Research Base 4 is the Plague Altar, and this is what allows you to craft your plague items that you're looking for. Without this, you can't make any of the plague gear that you find. On the Aurora, you find the Plague Grappler, which allows you to latch onto things and pull them closer to you or bring you towards them. It's very fun to use, but basically has no real use in the game at the moment except for one time. What if, instead, you found the Plague Altar earlier in some other location, like Research Team 7's base in the Cragfield, or Research Base Chain/Dante? When you complete these other objectives, you would then be able to craft these plague components as you get them. For example, the plague armor that you get from the Lost River is meant to protect you from high concentrations of plague. Maybe when you go to the Aurora, if you have the plague armor, you're immune to the radiation and also immune to Mr. Teeth, the mini-boss encounter creature. It would incentivize finding the armor over the grapple tool. By contrast, what if once you have the grappler, you go down to get the plague armor and you can use the grapple tool to get through a shortcut by moving some debris out of your way, making it easier to get to the crashed Cyclops where it's at, and avoid the ghost leviathans. As it stands now, when I go to replay this mod once Act 3 comes out, I feel the need to rush to Research Base 4. Also, and maybe this is just something that will happen in Act 3, there is currently nothing really special about going to the primary containment facility and talking to the Emperor. The only thing that you get is a machine that can break down some materials into maybe slightly more useful materials if you're lucky.
Hey, is there, bro? I've been working on something. If you're going to be harnessing the plague, as the professor that I found that to be, I have invented a device that helps you find the useful piece out of any mysterious meat chunks you might have laying around.
It's an RNG minigame you play for crafting. I don't like this and would prefer that it's not so RNG. I'll be honest, I really didn't like this exploration part of the mod, and I think it's an area that could use another pass through. So the beginning was pretty interesting, and the middle was not fun. And I know I've been complaining a lot, but the end, oh my god, this is simply one of the greatest additions that Subnautica has ever seen. First of all, finally being able to craft and use the plague gear after literally 15 hours of seeing it but not being able to use it felt really nice. I felt complete. My objectives finally worth something. Though I wish the plague cats would go away. Second, the objective you get at this time is for a plague cave, which, can I say, already sounded really interesting, and when you do finally get there, you can see where this mod really wants to go. It is horrifying. The water is red. There are new monsters. There's some amazing story. There's an alien facility. There are new resources. All of these things are just great. I have no complaints about this area. I was at the edge of my seat and definitely scared. It is a 10 out of 10 experience. My favorite things about it have to be the lack of visibility combined with the sheer unknown of what this place even is. Up until this point, you've seen some growths, you have never seen this. And they add even more tension because this cave is not supposed to exist. It is located in the dunes, which is already a pretty dark and scary area because of the Reaper Leviathans. Now it's even darker and there's this cave, and nobody knows why it's here or what this is. The music playing right now is just one of the tracks that the Plague Cave has. All of them are terrifying. All of them make you feel uncomfortable. This is the kind of suspense that we all crave for in Subnautica. The complete and utter unknown, but constant feeling that you should not be here. This stands out as one of those key defining moments in a playthrough. Everybody remembers their first time going into a blood kelp zone. And for those of us Subnautica Below Zero fans, you probably remember your first time stepping into Crystal Caverns and seeing a Shadow Leviathan for the first time. And if you liked that, there's also a new Leviathan here for you to discover. But it's not just the scary moments in Subnautica that we like to remember too. There's also the peaceful moments, that feeling of when you return back to your base after being in a scary zone, like this plague cave. The developers of this mod have set aside time to make a safe sanctuary inside the plague cave with nice, comfortable music. And honestly, this song somewhat brings tears to my eyes. And while yes, I did play this song earlier in the video, I just want to take some more time and listen to it uninterrupted. No voiceovers, just the peacefulness. Okay, as much as I want to just keep listening to that song, let's talk about Bennett. Much like Alan from Below Zero, Bennett is stuck in an architect containment cube as well. And major spoiler, but he created the Red Plague as a cure for the Kara bacteria. And he says that he can assist you with the outbreak of the Red Plague.
Diver, I thank you. You have survived longer than any who have previously come in contact with the Red Plague. I would make a request of you. The heart of this sickness, it lies in the dunes, fallen from your crashed ship. I plead with you, do what I could not. End this, and destroy the plagued heart. Altera will try to stop you. They will lie to you, as they have from the very start. Do not listen. This device should help you locate it.
I hope we can all agree that Bennett's voice is amazing. Excellent job. After making the tablet and following the sonar ping, you will eventually find the meteor crash site from the base game, except this time it has a piece of ship around the meteor. When you arrive here, you will hear from Bennett and he will give you a new recipe for blowing up the meteor which has the plague heart in it. At the same time, you will hear from Derman who will tell you to blow up your evil PDA.
No, absolutely not. Bro, you're gonna destroy your evil PDA.
And he will give you a recipe for a PDA explosion apparatus. You now have 1 hour to make a decision. Do you go with Bennett and blow up the plague heart, or do you go with Derman and blow up your PDA and eliminate Bennett? While both endings at the moment are pretty much the same, I would choose blowing up your PDA because the voice acting for Bennett is top notch if you do that. He gets very angry with you, and it is the best voice acting work in this entire mod by far.
Angelina? I'm picking up an ion energy spike from the upper atmosphere. Angelina! It's getting larger. It's mixing out the system. Where is this coming from? Oh, shh.
Your actions defy all reason. You would truly obey those who have placed you in golden handcuffs than the one who has sought nothing but to help you. Terror leads you to believe that what you are doing is noble, and I have no doubt that they have convinced you that I seek destruction and servitude and plague. My intentions are as pure as they have been from the very beginning. For as long as I recall, my solitude has been accompanied by the screams of thousands whose blood stains my hands. I do not expect you to understand. I've watched stars burn and fizzle out. Dynasties of far-off planets rise and entire species fall. Mine will not be one of them.
The combination of the amazing experience inside the Plague Cave with the fantastic plot development and monologue from Bennett has me begging for more Red Plague content. I cannot wait for Act 3 to release. If I had to score these sections of the mod so far, I would say the beginning gets a 7 out of 10 for the mystery and the spookiness of the unknown. The middle, a 4 out of 10 for the annoyance, the lack of meaningful progress, and what feels like filler content. And the end, a complete 10 out of 10 experience, giving this mod an overall 7 out of 10 rating. I hope you all enjoyed this video. It was a lot of work, but I think for a gigantic mod like this, which has the potential I think to top even Return of the Ancients, this was definitely worth the time to make this. Let me know what you think of this video, and if you played the Red Plague, what would you rate it yourself? I'll see you guys in Subnautica 2, coming May 14th. and for more Subnautica challenge runs in the future. Take care.